When teaching someone how to paddle for the very first time, there are a few things which they absolutely have to get right. Obviously there's the three parts of the stroke: the catch, the stroke and the exit. But in doing the catch, the first thing that someone has to get right is they have to reach forward and really grab the water.
Also remember that the paddle is feathered. The blades are at different angles. Generally people have a right hand feather, so it's easy on your right hand because the blade is already set at the right angle to enter the water, to catch the water. But often people forget to feather the paddle as they paddle, so when they get ready to set the next blade into the water, it's at that angle, which would then result in the paddle slicing through the water. So remember, at this point you need to rotate the blade with the hand that you feathered with, either the right hand or on the other side with the left hand, so that that paddle is in the correct position to ensure a nice solid catch.
A few common mistakes that happen at this point is the paddle goes in that way. It sort of slices the water. Or what happens is not the entire blade goes into the water, only the bottom third goes into the water as someone feels out that blade for the first time. And for your first few strokes, that's fine. You know, just get a feel for how the paddle works with the water.
Remember to maintain a high cadence. There are lots of elements out there, mainly the wind and the waves, that are constantly slowing the boat down. And to re-accelerate yourself, you need to be putting the paddle into the water more often. So generally, the more often you're putting in the paddle into the water, the higher cadence, the quicker you'll go. But you have to ensure that every time you're putting the paddle into the water, every time you're taking a stroke, it's an efficient stroke.
What often happens when you go paddling is that your hands move across the shaft of the paddle. That's why we spoke about having the right grip and putting your hands in the right place. But be aware of the fact that often what happens is your hands can move across the shaft and you aren't balanced in your stroke. So try and remember to keep your hands always in the same place when you're taking a stroke. You get all your power from your core here. Remember, your stroke doesn't come from your arms. Your stroke comes from your core. The power comes from here, from your back, and by rotating your upper body. So you really want to focus on, as it grabs the water, you engage your core, you engage this leg, you really start to drive through the blade through the water. One of the best tips that I've heard when taking a stroke is that don't try and pull the paddle, try and push this paddle down, because in that force of trying to push it down, you have to get all your power here from your core. So you try and push that paddle down, the boat begins to move, and then you rotate through onto your next stroke.
So just remember, in the second phase of the stroke, the power zone, as you push down on the blade, not to let this top hand move down towards your footrest. This top hand has to stay on the level of your eye and move towards the nose of the surf ski, in that position there. The arms really are an extension of what's happening in your power zone, in your legs and in your core. So as you engage that paddle and you engage your core, that's where the power comes from. The arms really act as a guide to direct the paddle and as an extension of the stroke, not necessarily the primary zone of force. Now, at the third part of your stroke, the exit and recovery, avoid these two things. Firstly, avoid pulling the paddle straight down next to the boat and getting your elbow caught right next to your body, as that will really make it hard to get the paddle out the water. And also avoid pulling the paddle too far away from the boat, as that will force your elbow to come out up before your wrist does. What you want to do in this position is keep your elbow down and your wrist up. So when this paddle is in the mid position, keep your elbow down, wrist comes up, exit and recovery, and that's the position for the start of the next stroke. Okay, so I think at this stage it's important to note a few things as well. Firstly, the head stays completely still. It's not moving left, right, you're not looking at the paddle. The head stays still and looking at the nose of the ski, maybe just above the nose of the ski. Secondly, your body's staying still, so you're not rocking forward and back with every stroke. It's maybe leaning slightly forward. What you want to avoid is what I call lazy boy style, which is where you're lying back and paddling like this. So you want to be sitting upright, which helps you engage that core a little bit, maybe leaning slightly forward, head stays still, but also remember, you don't want to have tension in your shoulders. Your shoulders actually have to stay completely relaxed.
A common mistake here, very often, especially in the beginning stages of your paddling, is to want to look at your paddle. And you want to look at your paddle, and every time you look at your paddle, guess what happens? You're moving your head. And if you're moving your head, you're affecting your stability. So you don't want to look at your paddle when you take a stroke. Trust that the paddle is going to move through the water as it should. You need to keep your head still, looking straight ahead. Don't look at your paddle as you take a stroke.